Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. Today, we're going to approach a topic that was put forward by the people at Film Threat. Chris Gore and Alan invited people on the internet, film critics of Star Wars, to debate on certain charges. So, I am in no way a film critic, although I do post reviews of fantasy, sci-fi, and stuff, anime, yeah, that I enjoy watching or not. If I've been disappointed by certain things, I will also post those. But yeah, I don't consider myself really a critic per se. Now, having said that, during their broadcast, they invite people to debate on these charges. So, this is my attempt to try and do exactly that. Unfortunately, I think they were also asking for people to stream it live and debate as they were going on. Maybe I could do that for the future live. Yes, there are going to be a series of live streamings on this court. It's not a one time, one show deal. But yesterday they did put up like the 9 charges. And what I'm going to try to do today is go over maybe the first 3 charges and, you know, so I will play, you know, provided that's okay with them. I will show them, putting out the first 3 charges, and then I will try to put my input onto it. So, without trying to drag this out too long, because, I am going to try to keep this short. That's why I'm doing this, like the first 3 charges, and tomorrow I'll try to put out another, 4 to 6 charges. I think in total there's 9 charges. So hopefully, I could do three per video here. And it's also early in the day for me here, so I don't want to be interrupted by, you know, a bio break. So I'll try to do these as fast as I can. But I've had my coffees, so I should be good to go. Maybe this is the kind of thing that it's easier to debate with a glass of wine, but yeah. I'm trying to do it early in the day so to get my video out there so that everybody can also, if I'm invited to debate this, then I'm guessing you folks are as well. So you're always welcome to add comments down below. And also I want to specify that I will be putting the links down below for Film Threat and Chris Gore and, anybody who would wish to participate in these. I wouldn't want to call it an event, but it is kind of. So, okay, let's get going here. Let's skip straight forward to the first charge. And I will play an excerpt and just want to make sure that there will be some audio here. So here we go.
Charge number 1 is fraudulent representation. Tell us exactly what is meant by this. If you could read charge number 1.
Yes, charge number 1. Lucasfilm is charged with fraudulent representation. Lucasfilm knowingly set expectations that the original trilogy cast would reunite in The Force Awakens. Fans were led to believe that Han, Luke, and Leia would reunite. Fraudulent representation. Failure to reunite legacy characters in the Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy. Disrespectful demise of Han, Luke, and Leia. Negligent and disrespectful disregard for legacy characters. The death in Han Solo, one of the worst deaths in cinematic history. Bait and switch.
I believe, Mr. Ing, you're.
Okay, so he read the first charge there. Hopefully, you guys can hear it. Basically, he is accusing Disney and Lucasfilm, which is part of Disney, to put out misrepresentation of what the film was supposed to be. Okay. I don't want to get it too much into the background, but for the longest time now, I no longer watch television. So I don't really get the ads and the trailers, put in the commercials for certain things to come out. I try to stay away from that stuff because I want to go into movies or series or whatnot just by the hearsay of people saying, yeah, I really liked it, you got to watch it, or it was really bad, man, stay away from it. So, but yeah, as a kid, I was very young when I first saw the Star Wars. They impacted my life, and not necessarily always in a good way. When you're a kid and you think that, you can use the force to get out of studying, to do certain tests, and just use the force. Well, that didn't work out for me, obviously. So, much, much later, I don't know how many decades, it felt like, centuries almost before the prequels came out. And at that point, I knew that George Lucas had a plan. He was going to come out with 3 movies, and, every year, every 2 years. And that's about all I knew. Although I didn't know that Natalie Portman would be playing Princess or Queen Amidala. That's about, I knew that Natalie Portman would be in the prequel trilogy. Because one of my friends sort of had a crush on her. So, yeah, that's why I kind of knew certain things before seeing the movie, but not much. Or movies, I should say. Coming around to the sequel trilogy, I didn't really know nothing here. I didn't see any commercials. I did not see any trailers. Nothing. I barely knew, or I could barely grasp the fact that Disney had bought Lucasfilm. And at that point, I didn't even know if George Lucas was affiliated with the production or if he was still doing. I had no idea whatsoever what was going on before seeing The Force Awakens. So I can't speak for, the bait and switch of them putting out that they were going to reunite the original trilogy cast. I had, how could I put this? When I saw the prequels, I know that they were going to go into Darth Vader's history. Obviously, I knew that he would have to be younger and they wouldn't be using the same actors as in the original trilogy. I barely had that idea, but starting off with young Anakin when he was, in my opinion, way too young in a certain way for the movie because it's like Amidala never ages throughout the 3 movies, but he goes through, almost a decade to catch up with her. So yeah, that was weird in the original trilogy, not the original, the prequel. But coming to the sequels, I didn't know if they were going to bring back Luke, Leia, and Han Solo. Maybe they're kids. Maybe they would appear, maybe not. Maybe it would be like, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years, 1,000 years. I had no idea what was going to go on in the sequel. So, fraudulent representation and, you know, fans were led to believe, you know, I can't say because I try to stay away from all of that. I try to go as much as possible fresh into a movie. Uh, Also, even though I consider myself maybe a Star Wars fan, I did not read any book whatsoever. I only saw the movies. That's it. That's all. And I had lovely discussions with friends and family and whatnot about these movies. But I never read anything. The only thing other than the movies that I saw as a kid was the cartoon series Droids, which I think were centered on 3PO and on R2D2. And I really don't remember none of it. So I guess it wasn't all that good. Sorry. Yeah, so, charge number one, for people that ate every single word on stuff that could have come out, I don't know what was said, what wasn't said. I wasn't expecting to see the original cast. So you know, they do, the death of Han Solo. Uh, while watching the movie and seeing him was a lovely surprise. But by then, the movie was also, I was very disappointed. My jaw was open from the first 15 minutes of watching The Force Awakens. Just by this is really not good. I wasn't enjoying myself. The story just felt like, I don't know. So this is charge number one. And I didn't have any expectations before watching it other than hoping to have a good time. And it didn't turn out that ways. Yeah, I live out where people run motorbikes. Okay, sorry about that. Let's get to charge number two. Let's play this.
Charge number
Charger,
two.
could you
Oh,
lose that banner at the bottom, please? My
thought you just said to
apologies.
put that
No,
banner up.
no, it's charge number two, breaking canon. Mr. Ing, can you please explain?
Charge number two. Lucasfilm is charged with breach of contract with its fans, breaking canon and changing the terms of George Lucas's lore and mythology. Do you want me to read the rest of it, or?
Please elaborate on
All
that.
right. So by breaking canon, we were talking about the fact that uh, created more canon issues rather than solving them with interesting storytelling. What happened to the Force? Gender definition of the Force. For example, the Force is female. Rewriting history. Removing Slave Leia and Slave One. Created more canon issues. Okay, and we got that. But the idea here being that they have moved away from George Lucas's vision, from his philosophy regarding the Force, and have essentially turned the Force into beings with telekinetic powers. And so we do not have the Star Wars that we were promised, and the Star Wars that George Lucas had originally created.
Okay, charge number two. He is going about the Force here. Uh, okay. I can go into some of this more easily. I would kind of agree the Force. Now, before I get into anything, it's been a while since I've seen the sequel movies. I just know that I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. So, yeah, I can't, defend Disney on everything or certain things, decisions that they made, directions that they went into. And I have not rewatched, nor do I plan on rewatching them. It wasn't good for me, so I ain't not gonna go back. I don't remember everything that happened in movie one. I don't remember everything that happened in number two, and well, actually, it's more like what, seven, eight, nine. So sorry if episode seven, episode eight, and episode nine. But yeah, something from episode seven, like, okay, at certain points, you do think that they are gonna repeat the pattern of the original movie, which was A New Hope. And if I remember correctly, in A New Hope, Luke didn't know anything about the Force, and he hooks up with Obi-Wan, and then they have this sphere, and Luke has this helmet where he can't see anything, and he has to deflect shots from that little sphere that's shooting bolts at him, electric bolts at him, and he is getting his you know rear handed to him. He gets very frustrated, which, at that point, Obi-Wan, gets into a very vague but a very nice description of what the Force is. Which I have to point out that when George Lucas came out with the prequel trilogy and defined the Force with the midichlorians, that kind of wrecked it for me. I did not like that definition. For me, already there, George was breaking canon, so to speak. Yes, he is the guy that's creating it, so if that was his idea, which I don't think it was initially when he first made his first movie, I don't think that he knew it was going to be as big as it became. And I think that he was all in trying to just make his first movie, concentrating on that story and not everything else. Yeah, maybe you have other ideas of, when you're creating your storyboard and whatnot. Oh, yeah, that would be a good idea for this, and that would be, interesting to explore. And then you have to get back to the budget. We need to do this movie, get back to what needs to be done here and now. So, breaking the force, but, you know, I do remember that the force is not something that is given to you. It's something that you need to work on. You have to be, explore yourself. Go dig within yourself to understand and be able to use the force and all. It's a lot of work. Some, are more powerful than others, but everybody needs to start working on themselves to be able to exploit the force or use the force. Not necessarily exploit it, but to be able to use the force, it requires, some homework, and it's not an easy thing. Whereas everything in The Force Awakens seemed to come without a struggle. Uh, the hero Rey, the female, everything was so easy for her, no struggle whatsoever. Uh, kind of, I was already detached by then, just because the storytelling and the writing was so awful. Everything was just, thrown in there. Oh, people will like this, people will like this, people will like this. I mean, it was kind of designed by committee, and not having a one person in charge of the project that knew anything about Star Wars. So yeah, they kind of did wreck the Force totally. Nothing. When Obi-Wan in the first movie was describing the Force, I was just like a sponge, hanging on every word. I think, it was Alec Guinness, the actor that played Obi-Wan. I mean, I was hanging on every word he was saying. It was, mesmerizing. It became a philosophy of life. And none of that, not remotely close to anything described by, Force related in the sequel, Force Awakens movie. You know, I don't, nothing stick, nothing made any sense. This is like total garbage. Sorry to say this, but no, the Force lost its polish. It lost its. Nothing remotely interests me about even paying attention to the movie. Nothing remotely about the Force was interesting. Uh, I can't remember a catchphrase or a dialogue in specific regarding the Force. So, yeah, breaking canon. It was an exploration of oneself in the original trilogy, and it was hard work. And, you know, because of the programming of society and whatnot, past a certain age, it wasn't easy to do. To break down the barriers of what you thought was reality and to discover this new reality. And in The Force Awakens, they didn't explore, explain nothing. The Force was, like he says, a telekinetic power that somebody either had or didn't have. And if they had it, they knew how to use it automatically. So, yeah, that is my thoughts on charge number two. I agree with the charges that the Force is female was a total flop and broke canon. Okay, on to charge number three. Let's go here. Let's move it forwards.
If you would read the third charge, Mr. Ing.
Yes, I would. Charge number 3. Lucasfilm is charged with negligence in the handling of its franchise. Failed to have a plan. By failing to properly plan out the story for the sequel trilogy, the result was a final trilogy that satisfied no one, resulting in an unsatisfying conclusion. By failing to have a proper plan out of the story sequel trilogy, the results were a final film that was dramatically story. What is that? I'm reading this stuff. They hired writers.
Mr. Ing, Mr. Ing.
I'm reading these notes. Notes I just
Read it.
Could you please read the charges? This is very important. There are people listening to this that are in their cars driving, and for those people who are listening, I would like Mr. Ing to read the full charges of the case.
Yes.
Mr. Ing, please continue.
Okay. Negligent in the handling of the Star Wars franchise, failed to have a plan. By failing to properly plan out the story for the sequel trilogy, the result was a final film that was dramatically storytelling. Hiring hack writers, decanonization of the EU while plagiarizing old plot points, failed to reach the box office potential the franchise had. Milking the franchise to death, rehashing of previous tropes, nostalgia bait, lack of excellence in storytelling, breach of verbal contract with George Lucas, the Thrawn series, hiring hack writers, decanonization of the EU while plagiarizing old points, failed to further the character story arcs, and including merchandising, the horrible, horrible merchandising that we currently have.
Okay. So now I don't know if they are just talking about the sequel trilogy, but okay, by failing to properly plan out the story for the sequel trilogy, I agree that there was no story arc per se for like Leia and Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. It did, in fact, look as if from one movie to the next, it was an entire different team working on it. No vision overall of the project, just throwing things. How could I say it? Throwing spaghetti on the wall, hoping something sticks. That was my feeling of it. The storytelling, nothing. I didn't understand nothing. Why are we doing this? Why are we going here? What is the story that they are trying to tell? Nothing. So yeah, they were just like putting in parts of what people were debating in the first and second trilogies, and just, oh, we'll put this scene here like this, and we'll put that scene there like that, and it'll remind them of this, and it'll remind them of that, and therefore it's going to be a good movie. And what they did with the original cast, their story arcs, none of it made sense. I mean, Leia going into space, not needing a suit and a helmet and all that. She can just fly through space. I remember that. That was awful. Luke, he was such an optimist. He always believed that his father had good in him. And he almost lost his friends. Everybody around him died. He even sacrificed his teachings with Yoda to go and try to save his friends and try to get through his father. Always the optimist. And he just became this old, grumpy person. I don't know if he was trying to mimic life because, yeah, I've gotten grumpy in my old age. I am no longer a young kid, bright eyed. But then you look to your heroes to give you inspiration in your life and to keep on going. And Luke, unfortunately, was this grumpy old man who had given up, which destroyed his story arc. Having killed Han Solo the way that they did, I mean, that was totally, I remember, and I don't want to necessarily compare Star Trek to Star Wars. This is not the point of this video. But in The Wrath of Khan, Spock sacrificed himself to save everyone else. His death had meaning. Whereas Han Solo died for no reason other than maybe the actor playing Han Solo wanted to die. Oh, if you want me to come back, just kill me off. Even then, you still managed to put the actors, Leia, Luke, and Han Solo together and find a way to kill him off that gives meaning and go through the emotions of people around him. They did none of that, you know. So here they go into, you know, failed to have a plan. Yeah, it was just thrown together, no story, no thread throughout the sequel trilogy that I could piece together. Now, if they want to go into everything else, here they are also talking about Thrall, which is relevant to certain books. I did not, I don't know anything about his story other than apparently he's a great admiral or fleet commander or whatnot. He uses his head, and the way that he goes about things is really good. Well, bad, because he's a bad dude. Now, nostalgia bait, yes. Milking the franchise to death with all the other I mean, I initially liked The Mandalorian, but season 3 just wrecked it. Uh, the Obi-Wan series, which again, you bring back legacy actors, characters, and they broke canon because, yeah, Princess Leia never met up with Obi-Wan, and now they have this adventure together. Nothing makes sense anymore. That's just, I don't know who came out with that idea, but, you know, the toys, I'm not, how could I say? I don't have kids of myself. Sorry to say that. That's, now it's out on the internet. It's none of people's business, my private life. But I do have friends that have had kids. And growing up, they went, even though Star Wars, even the prequels and the original trilogy was way before their time. And I'm talking about the last maybe 15 years. The parents still bought the original toys from the original and prequel series, and the kids had a lot of fun playing with those toys. And I am not seeing the same thing with the sequel trilogy. No toys, no nothing, nobody's interested in them, and nothing isn't okay. Maybe the Mandalorian helmet was maybe the that and the baby Yoda was maybe the toys that people were attracted to, but that's it. No Millennium Falcon, no X-Wing fighters, no Empire Death Stars, nothing, no Chewbacca toys and no R2D2 droids and none of that. That new little sphere droid, I forget its name. See, I don't even it's the sequel was so bad I don't remember, I barely remember Ray because I see it everywhere over the internet and she wants to come back and do more movies and I don't get it. But I would even forget her name if it wasn't plastered all over the internet. So, yes, they have broken everything. None of what was in the movies made any sense. Nothing that in the Obi-Wan series streaming on Disney Plus made any sense with these people didn't meet. It was really in front of us. That's how, A New Hope started is Leia saying a message on R2D2 saying that you were a friend of my father's and I need your help now. Hopefully you can help me like you helped my father. How do we go from that to being having adventures with Leia and them, him almost being the uncle, you know? That made no canon is totally broken. That yes. Hiring of hack writers, I guess, because the writing, the storytelling, everything around it was poorly done. Uh, even a 10-year-old in preschool or whatnot could do a better job than these people did with this franchise. Uh, yeah, major thumbs down. Not even a star for the effort. It was clearly made by people that didn't give a hoot about this franchise nor the storytelling, nothing. I'm sorry to say this. I have to kind of agree with charge number 3. Uh, yeah, a big fail of Disney on keeping consistent story arc telling and the force and all of this. Yeah. So, okay, that is going through the 3 first charges. Hopefully, you will stay tuned. And I would like to hear from you guys. tell me, well, guys and girls, and everybody else, every human of this planet has a voice. It could be good, it could be bad. Please let me know in the comments down below what you think. And let me know if you're looking forward to more of these because they are coming. Okay, folks. Have a great day, rest of the day, and hopefully, we get back together and debate more of this in future videos. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Uh, whether it is on Twitch, YouTube, come and talk to me in Discord. The links are in my profile. It's easy to find. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you again so much.